Vi sia ben chiaro che se state qui dentro è perché fuori nessuno vi vuole. Il fatto è che la società e anche le vostre famiglie hanno smesso di credere in voi.
Questi ragazzi sono degli esseri senza sentimenti.
Ho trovato una cosa. Famosa la loggia del Nido del Corvo. Questo edificio è pieno di corvi.
Sta succedendo qualcosa.
In questo collegio succedono cose che se arrivassero alle orecchie sbagliate, c'è gente là fuori che non le capirebbe.
Una missione. Lottare contro il demonio. Il maligno sa come agire per farci abbassare la guardia. Visioni che non hanno una spiegazione. Sparizioni. Il diavolo è presente dappertutto. E quando si aprono le porte dell'inferno, il male dilaga libero a suo piacimento.
What was the first reaction you had when you were offered to participate to this series?
Bueno, mi primera reacción fue saltar de alegría.
My first reaction was to jump with joy and enthusiasm, and then to start preparing my part with all the notes that I received, and to start from scratch, because this is a new show and I want to dig down in the character, and I try to imagine this world. And the same thing for me. I was flabbergasted when they told me I was chosen for El Internado, Las Cumbres. It was like, wow. And then I called my friends who had watched the previous show, because I hadn't watched it before. And the ones that were fans from the first season, they were, well, I could die of joy. And then, well, I started very quickly to work on my character, and then I read the scripts, and I saw it was a totally different show than what had been the previous one.
The location of this series, El Internado, looks like a bit like Hogwarts Castle. Is there something of Harry Potter in this? Let's say a darker Harry Potter with a little bit of Satanism and a little bit of The Shining.
Sí, bueno, tiene cosas que puede hacerte pensar que podría
Yes,
ser.
I understand why you would see that, but it has nothing to do with Harry Potter. It just takes place in a boarding school, and it's just at the height of the mountains, and it looks like a medieval castle. But when you get inside the universe of the boarding school, you soon see that they are completely different universes compared to Harry Potter. For example, here the students suffer a very strict discipline and
hard as a comparison, I understand. So, comparison.
No, está bien. El mundo está lleno de comparaciones porque así reconocemos las
no, it's
cosas.
great to compare. We have to do that to recognize things.
So comparisons with the original series from 13 years ago are inevitable. There are a few references and many new aspects in this series. Have you seen the original?
Yo vi algún capítulo
I
suelto.
saw some chapter at some friends' home, but no, I had a blank mind when I approached the project. No, and me too, because I think I was 12, 13 years old, and it was broadcasted very late, so my parents won't let me watch it. But it is true that when we shot there, all the young actors were staying at the same house together, and we watched a couple of episodes to blend and to get the feeling. And I think it's true that the audience will see, well, for the people that like the other show, there are some things that we include from the other show and in this new version, although it is a completely different story, but you will see some nods for the previous show, but it's a different one.
The thing that intrigued me the most is how the boys locked up in this prison boarding school, I don't know, are faced with a completely different modernity than the other guys of their generation. There is no TV, there are no cell phones, there are no social networks. I mean, in this situation, it was inevitable for Maya and Paul and the other students wanted to escape, right? Wouldn't you have the same thing in reality?
Hombre, puede que la realidad fuera lo mismo, porque
Well, maybe it would be the same thing in reality, because a young person, what we're all looking for is to connect with the world, especially nowadays when everything is so global, globalized, and you can listen to someone from Arizona singing a song you love, and without the internet, you couldn't. And I think that's their wish and their desire, and also the freedom. I understand the cell phone enslaves us, but it also gives you the freedom to talk to anyone at any time, anywhere. And maybe that's what they're looking for, the characters. And I agree with Asia, no? Especially regarding the freedom. That's what they're looking for, essentially. And I think that any teenager looks for that, not to get away from their parents, but somehow at some point they become people that are setting the limits for you. And I think the parents are represented by the teachers. They play parents, and that's why they want to escape, because they are looking for freedom. I'm amazed that they trusted me to play such a character. Mara is the headmaster of the boarding school. She is the highest authority, the rigor, discipline. So the higher the crime, the higher the penalty, right? So for the time being, she hasn't shown any kind of compassion or empathy, nor with students or teachers. She's a very tough woman. And also she has, as all the rest of the characters, she has her own dark past, complicated past that brought her here to run this boarding school. And she is committed to the task of helping these young students to turn them into useful people for society. And she believes the only way is discipline. So she's a very tough person and a hard person, but there's also a lonely Mara. And we see when she's alone or in other situations, and we can see that maybe, I cannot tell you for sure, she has some certain vulnerability. And we realize she's a human being. She not just only has one face, but many faces, like a diamond, right? Depending on who she is with, by herself, with teachers, with students. She's a human being with deep problems, like a deep ocean of feelings. And that's something that I loved. That's why I feel honored that when I learned that they decided, I was able to approach all those nuances, and I am very happy with being able to do it.
Mina, you had in the past with Elite already deal with some of the school area of a series, but your character now, Elvira, is very different than Nadia, obviously. Explain me better about your character and what was the most problematic aspect you had to face in playing this complex character?
Nadia, which was quite heavy to carry, and it took all of my energy away. So I had to turn it all around and to understand that Elvira's character comes from light, positiveness, that there's no weight she's carrying. She just had an easy life, so to say, and she was able to study in a good university, and she decided by herself what she wants to do. So it's very enriching for me to be able to bring that all out, to flesh out, not that there's another life, that not everything comes from darkness. Quite the opposite. Here, everything comes from the light, even if she will find herself with all the darkness in the boarding school that weren't there in her life.
We must underline that this series has nothing to do with the previous one, right, Mara?
Okay.
No.
Exactly.
Okay. Natalia.
Perfecto. Well done.
Grazie, Natalia.
No,
so we have to underline that.
Con aquella serie de hace
nothing to do with a 10 years ago show. Internado, las Cumbres, a new project. It's a new influence, a new characters, a new plot. The only thing that they have in common that it takes place in a boarding school, but the rest is different. Nobody should think that this is any kind of reboot or anything like that. It is a totally new project, and it's a package with a totally new bow, and we are giving it to all of you to enjoy it. No, it's a newly born project.
But I know that Mina was a huge fan of the past series, right? Someone told me.
Eso es. No, no, de
No,
verdad.
that's right. Yes, I was a great fan of the boarding school, the previous one. And I always tell this story because it happened with Ana de Armas' character that died. The character, yes, not the actress, no, Ana de Armas. Actually, I love her. And when she died, I was for 2 weeks telling my sister, no, that's not possible. She can't die.